What is going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new video on the channel and welcome to some Forza Horizon 5 with a drifting tutorial. So I have actually been asked by a couple of people to make this video and hopefully this could help. Now, I do know that I've made this video in the past on the previous games, on Horizon 3 and Horizon 4, but again, people who are buying this game now, they won't look how to drift or drifting tutorial on Horizon 3 if they want to learn how to drift on Horizon 5. So I thought that this video would be kind of helpful for any new players, anybody new that's coming to this game, fresh, that, you know, they haven't played any of the previous titles or anything like that, or maybe, you know, it's just something that could help some of you guys out to basically learn the basics of drifting, or at least get a little bit better with drifting. So I'm going to use the same sort of concept that I've used before when it comes to drifting, and that is just the absolute basics, which I will teach you exactly how this works. So if you're trying to drift, right, let's say you want to learn exactly how, you know, the car's physics works and stuff like that in the game. Again, the best and first, most important thing that you should do is go into your settings when you start up the game, go into difficulty, and get rid of traction control and stability control. And also start driving in manual. That is the very, very basics, right? Like the lowest, right? That's the very first thing you should do. Not even just for drifting, but just for racing in general. Just bring that and turn that off and all that sort of stuff. ABS, it's up to you. Again, this is an arcade game. It's not a simulator or anything like that. So for people that are complaining that even, for example, I still drive with ABS on for like the races and stuff like that, it's like, I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? It's not a simulator game. So I'm not trying to, you know, simulate everything. Plus, by the way, cars in real life have ABS, right? It's normal for them to have ABS. Again, shifting manual versus manual with clutch. You can learn how to do manual clutch later on. You don't have to do it right now. Just because I drive around with manual doesn't mean that I can't drive around with manual with clutch. Even though, like I said, it's up to you. You can learn later on. But the very basic beginning, where you should start, is traction control off, stability control off, and drifting in manual. Drifting automatic, I'll explain to you exactly why. Drifting in automatic is more difficult because the game picks a gear for you. You don't get to pick the gears that you want to be in. Let's say you want to be in 6th gear. Let's say you drive a car that's tuned, so you know the best gears to stay in for sliding around specific corners is 4th, but the game just constantly keeps you in 3rd, right? It's gonna be very annoying to do that because again, you can't pick the gear that you're supposed to be in. So manual is definitely the way to go when it comes to drifting or learning to drift. Now, traction control and stability control, again, very similar. This will just actually stop you from sliding. The traction control will actually, you know, cut power or stop power from going to the wheels to stop you from losing traction. Stability control, it stops the car from spinning out, right? So what you want to do is you want to keep both of those up because you won't be able to do stuff like this, right? When I try to floor it or accelerate into some of these corners, again, I'm not driving around any corners right now, but if I try to do this and go sideways, the game will literally cut power from me and it will stop me from doing this sort of stuff, so I can actually just drive in a straight line and the game will literally look like this when I'm trying to drift in any of these corners. It will just stop me from doing anything. And that is the main and most important thing. Get those off, change to manual, and just start racing. Just learn to race with those settings because it'll get you to handle cars specifically. You know, just for racing, it'll get you to handle them a little bit differently, right? You don't have to go into corners with full throttle because then you'll realize, you know, what if I take this corner a bit too fast? Then I'll oversteer it, right? Which means that my back end will come out. You know, that's slower going around a corner. Obviously, drifting's gonna be slower than, you know, normal racing, but again, like I said, it's just learning those little bits and pieces when it comes to racing games. It doesn't matter if it's this game or any other game. Those basics should always be off. Now, if you're comfortable with some cars now and you want to start learning to actually keep angle and, you know, go sideways, I suggest coming to a place like this. I know that there are areas all over the map that you can go around and, you know, there's loads of corners and stuff like that. I kind of think that you should avoid those at the very beginning. If you're learning to drift and you're learning to try and slide, I'd recommend going into a big open area like this. So then you have loads of space to do whatever it is that you want to do. You can spin out and stuff like that and you don't have to worry about it. You just sort of still stay on the actual, you know, tarmac itself. You don't go off-road. And this way you have a nice open space for you to learn how to control the car once it's gone sideways. If you want to download the tune, by the way, for this car, you can. It doesn't have to be the Supra that you're learning to drift with. I just chose a very basic car that everybody can get at the very beginning of the game. And yeah, you can get this tune if you want and download it and try it out yourselves. and hopefully you can, you know, learn with this tune as well. I upped the power a little bit from the standard horsepower, but you don't really need to. Again, just learning to control oversteer is probably the best way to do it. But again, I upped the horsepower of this thing just so it's a little bit easier to take some of the bigger corners, I guess, which I'll show you guys in a minute. So, if you want to learn the basics of drifting, obviously once you end up going into a corner, let's just pretend that this is one of the corners here. Let me go back right here, right? Let's say this corner here that I'm about to take, right? I'm going this way, right? From the actual strip. So technically I'm turning right towards this corner. Now, if I'm going into this corner and my car ends up oversteering, which you will end up doing by accelerating more than the actual tires can actually handle, the back end of the car will step out, which means you will have to countersteer. Now, a lot of these turns, again, if you're new to drifting, if you don't know what's happening, I'll explain to you everything. So let's say you're going, you're just driving, right? And then you're about to go into a corner and you accelerate too much. Obviously, you'll end up losing grip and the car spins out, right? You accelerate too much, the back wheels will end up slipping from, you know, under the car, and then you'll end up spinning out. So, the way to counter that, let's say the same thing happens, right? You go into a corner, you go a little bit too fast, and you go to the right. Instead of braking and obviously slowing down and all that sort of stuff, imagine my car is still sliding right now. You turn your front wheels to the opposite way of the actual corner. That means that the front wheels will try to direct you to straighten up your car. So let's say if I'm driving around, right? Let me show you guys now. Instead of... So if I decide to not countersteer, this is what's going to happen. So I go into a corner and I accelerate. You spin out, right? But if I go ahead, let's say I decide to countersteer, right? Doing the same thing, literally the same maneuver that I've just done there, except instead turning my wheels to the left instead of, you know, not turning my wheels at all. So let's go, pick up a bit of speed, and then go to the right. And then if you countersteer, you can see that now the car pulls the opposite direction, right? Very straightforward. Now, if you continuously accelerate while that happens, then your car will continue to slide in that direction, right? So let me show you guys now again. If I do that, then the car slides in that direction. And then I turn the wheels again, and then it goes in that direction. If I accelerate. If I don't accelerate, then the car will literally just straighten up, or it'll just do that, right? And it'll go in a straight line. But if you continuously accelerate, then the momentum of the car will just continue to keep going in that direction. Again, play with the throttle. Don't just floor it the entire time. If you floor it the entire time, then you're gonna have to do a lot of steering and a lot of work. So again, don't just keep it pressed to the left or pressed to the right whenever you're steering. You should be able to see your front wheels moving a little bit. You can see mine. I'm not fully just holding left and right, but if you're flooring it the entire time, again, you have to work a lot with the steering. There's a mixture of steering input and also throttle input, which I'll bring. That's the wrong thing. Didn't mean to do that. However, I didn't mean to press. Come on. I didn't mean to press this. Alright, so here you can see on the right the throttle, and you can also see. Let me go back again. All the way back to the left. So you can see my steering on the right, and you can also see my throttle and braking and all that sort of stuff. Again, you can also use handbrake, which I'll explain to you guys in a second how that works. Clutch will automatically be activated, so you don't really have to do any of that. So if you do any of this, you can see my steering is still assisted because it's just on standard, it's not on simulator. You can also see that my throttle isn't fully pressed down all the way the entire time. Obviously, when I'm trying to expand my slides or if I try to go a little further, you'll see it being a little different. Again, 4th and 5th gear for this car is nice just for you to go back and forth and do this. So learn to do this, pretty much. Just learn to do stuff like this. Just go back and forth and try to catch the car so you can actually keep angle and then straighten up again. And it's very straightforward to do this. Again, it just is practice. There's nothing really else I can do here to explain to you guys. It's just practice. Just go back and forth on the strip and then learn how to control this thing. Now, if you want to learn how to hold an actual slide for longer distances, there's this really nice place right here, this roundabout at the bottom of the map, not too far from the actual strip, which you can just go around in circles. It's very easy. This one I kind of really like because it's easy to sort of again go around it and just try to, let me turn that music off, try to to hold a continuous slide. So let's say I'm going into this roundabout. Let's try, let's say 5th gear for this car. And then you want to go sideways. You just sort of turn into the corner and accelerate more. And that'll just get your car to oversteer. And then you just catch it again with the steering and throttle. And then just try to balance it out. And slide the car the entire way around this roundabout. As many times as you want, as long as you want. You can go a little wider, which means that if you want to make it the entire way around, your angle of your car, which means the amount of... So let's say this is the angle, right, that I'm drifting at. The angle means that the positioning from the inside of the roundabout compared to the car, which, let's say if I keep the same angle, right, but I go sort of towards the center of the roundabout, this is the angle that I'm positioned at, right? I'm not fully perpendicular with it. I'm sort of at an angle with the car. Now imagine obviously that I'm sliding around. If you're closer to the inside, then the angle will be bigger, or else I will end up, see, like if I'm a lot closer to the inside, you can see the angle that I have to be at. This is obviously a lot more extreme than it was when I was on the outside. If I want to fully make it around this entire roundabout, you know, if I want to go ahead and tighten that in, obviously I increase my angle a little bit, which just means less steering, and try to have the front end pointed towards the inside a little bit more. Let's try 6th gear here as well, see if that works. Again, look at 6th gear is just pushing me out as like much more here, even though I was using sort of similar angle, which just means that I have a little bit more power to play with, a little bit more torque for those rear wheels. And again, you just play around. Again, you don't full throttle the entire time. Again, you just sort of play with the throttle, play with the steering, see what works for specific cars, see what works for specific corners. Not every corner is going to be the same, not every car is going to be the same. So it's just a balance thing that you have to learn how to do when it comes to drifting. And now that you sort of learned that bit, let's try and connect everything and bring it over to the Cara Este drift zone. And we can do one whole run downhill. And I'll explain to you guys how handbrakes work as well for some of these. So again, if you're doing, you know, just normal oversteering, like let's say you go into a corner, you use power to sort of, you know, get your back wheels to slide, that's perfectly fine, right? That is perfectly fine, a way to initiate it. But let's say you want to initiate a lot earlier, right? You can use your handbrake. So this will just lock the rear wheels. So if I go forward, and I'll show you guys real quick here. That just locks the rear wheels. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, basically, you want to end up going into a slide sideways before, you know, like, let's say there's this corner here, right? Instead of me going into this corner like this, right? And then having to use momentum to go sideways like that. It feels a little bit messy to do that, right? Especially for some of these. But if you use your handbrake in the same sort of way that you're using it for drifting, so instead of accelerating, you just sort of use your handbrake to get yourself in the specific angle, and then you start accelerating. So again, say I'm in 5th, I go here and then use my handbrake to get the back sideways, and then you let go of it and then start accelerating. Start accelerating, you counter steer, and then you just continue. Now you can do this for specific reasons as well. Again, you can use it for initiating slides like I just did there, or let's say, you know, you're going too fast here, or you want to extend your slide, which means, let's say, you know, I'm not going fast enough, or I think I said I'm going too fast. I meant to say I'm not going fast enough. The way to do it, right? I get to this point here, hold the handbrake, car goes sideways, right? There's different scenarios where you can use the handbrake. Again, it's all situational. I can't just tell you guys exactly when to use the handbrake. I can't tell you guys specifically when to use the handbrake with whatever car that you're using. It's all situational. It all depends on the car, the tune, you know, the positioning that you're in on the road and stuff like that. But again, just experiment with it and see what it's like. See what makes you, you know, comfortable, the way you drive and stuff like that. So again, here, handbrake, back end goes sideways, and then I just start accelerating. It just stops me from going in a straight line for too long, if that makes sense. And again, just going back and forth, especially for these longer corners. The corners on Horizon 4 when we had the needle climb, they were a lot more tighter, and we didn't have as many straight lines, you know, in these zones here. Look, here as well, I had to just hold the handbrake all the way to the exit of the corner because I wasn't making it. So it just sort of extends my sides a little bit more if I really need to do that. So again, it's all situational. It's all different scenarios that you get yourself put into. You know, I can't really tell you exactly when to do what. But this is pretty much how to drift on Forza Horizon 5. Now take this again with a grain of salt. This is just sort of basics that I've explained to you guys. Again, the only way to get better is just by practicing. I can't really, you know, you can't just watch this video and be like, yeah, I'm a pro now at drifting in this game. Again, it's all practice. It all comes down to practice. I've been drifting and I've been playing video games like this for so many years. And the same sort of method applies for all of the video games, right? For every video game that's the same sort of, you know, I guess driving physics as this, which are fairly similar to real life. Again, they're not simulator, they're still arcade, which just means that they are still very, very assisted. You know, you don't have full control over, you know, steering or your throttle or all of that stuff. It's still slightly assisted, just because, you know, it's an arcade video game. It's not a full-on simulator. If you want to play full-on simulators, then go ahead and do that. And again, on the wheel, on like a full steering wheel setup and pedals and everything like that, the same sort of logic still applies when it comes to drifting, you know, as what I've explained in this video. So again, with practice, you can definitely get better, and that's pretty much all I can tell you guys in today's video. If you enjoyed it, then please subscribe, because it helps out a lot. If you want to see more videos like this on the channel, then of course, like I said, make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment on it, do whatever it is you guys want to do. If you have any specific questions on whatever it is that I've been doing in this video and maybe I haven't shown it to you guys, then feel free to ask it down below. If I've already answered them down below, then go ahead and check instead of asking the question and maybe not getting an answer. So just check if some of the questions have already been answered down in the comments below. But that's pretty much it. That is it. This was a drifting tutorial, or how to drift on Forza Horizon 5. I really do hope that you guys found this quite helpful. But for now, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. And, or I really do hope you did enjoy the video. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Goodbye.